So the Eagles are making a lot of moves going into the 2026 season, making a lot of major moves. Some notable UDFAs for the Birds are coming into rookie minicamp. Rookie minicamp itself is jumping off this weekend. So we have a lot to talk about and a lot to jump into. It's a jam-packed show here on Egocentric. Welcome back as always. And like, comment, subscribe. You guys know the routine. We're going to jump into everything here. Let me shut up so we can jump right into it here on Egocentric.
Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you. He's at the 20. They should stop this one.
What you got? Domination! Snot bubbles!
He throws. Complete. Touchdown. They've got him again. They've got him again. Sack Crumpler. What a throw. What a hit. What a catch.
Defense is just way too much for the count.
It's caught by Alshon Jeffrey for a touchdown. He pushes. Touchdown. Jalen Hurts. Touchdown. A.J. Brown. A run. He's going to score. It's a touchdown by Nick Foles. The train is in the end zone. Touchdown. Torrey Smith in for the touchdown is Jeffrey in. Touchdown. Jalen Hurts.
Are you gonna be? Say that you're gonna be.
Nolan Smith, Nolan Smith, Nolan Smith. It seems as though your time is now, buddy. And if you're going to come into any season and, ball out, if you're going to come into any season with a lot of motivation, if you're going to come into any season with the motivation to dominate, this season is the season because the Eagles have decided to exercise the fifth-year options for both Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith. Now, Nolan Smith's fifth-year option is worth $27 million, which won't be that bad. It's not that much off of what he probably could have made in contract extensions or with an extension. But Nolan Smith, $13.7 million, my guy, and I know that you both are probably looking at Howie Roseman like, bro. Now, Nolan Smith is probably coming into this season thinking, you guys went and got Jonathan Grenard, and we already have Jalen Hunt. So 3 edge rushers in that room. Who will be the odd man out? You can't have all 3 and be paying all 3 a high amount of money. That is going to be very, 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 very interesting when you think about a guy like Nolan Smith, who led the league, who led the Birds franchise in sacks with 4 in 2024. Now, he slaughtered mahomes in the Super Bowl. Him, Jalen Hunt, Morrow, Jomo, Milton, Williams, all of those guys got to it, and Jalen Carter, might I add. But in 2025, it was a lackluster season, if you ask me. That's my opinion. But, a guy like Nolan Smith could really come back this season and turn it up and really get a lot more money. Who knows? It might not be with the Birds. I don't think in the future that we're going to be looking at a defense that is paying Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Jalen Hunt, Jonathan Grenard. No, I don't see it. It's just too much. And it's not to say that he doesn't deserve it. It's just, like I said, it's a lot of money to be handed out. And in the future, you have Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell, who have been studs. They are Super Bowl winners in their first year for the Birds, and a major part of why the Birds won that Super Bowl. So you have to give those guys contracts, even though they're young now. In the next 2 years, it's going to be time for them to negotiate. And the fact that the Birds went and, exercised the fifth-year options for Nolan Smith and Jalen Carter, I'm not surprised. This is exactly what we saw with Jordan Davis coming into 2025 when we said, he's overweight a little bit. The performance isn't there, isn't what we expected it to be. I always felt like Jordan Davis in his rookie year balled out, but his second year, he really took a step back. But last season, his third year, where he was playing for a contract, Jordan Davis showed why he deserved it, why he earned it, why he needs it. He ate. He came in very underweight. He came in a little smaller than what he usually comes in at, and he was dominant. And it paid off a lot for the Birds. I remember that Rams game. If anyone forgot, I don't know if anyone who loves the Eagles, follows the Eagles in any capacity, forgot about that Rams game. We won the Rams game strictly off Jordan Davis being a pure athlete, right? Just pure talent, just pure doggish mentality. The block itself to secure the win for the Birds was enough. But no, the big man took an icing on one big cake, as the call was when he ran it in. And I just loved that season, which was last year, for Jordan Davis. And I think Nolan Smith can do the same thing as Jordan Davis did. Now, Jalen Carter on his half, I don't think it's a performance problem. I don't even think it's an injury issue, because his shoulder injuries, yeah, they were there, and he missed like a game or two, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have the numbers in front of me to tell you, but he missed like a game or two. And that didn't really affect the Birds in any way. Jalen Hunt led the team in interceptions and sacks. So, to lose Jalen Hunt was gonna be the biggest issue, part of the defensive line in hindsight, looking back. But Jalen Carter didn't play in a couple of games, and that wasn't the issue. That isn't the reason why he's not getting an extension, might I add. Like, I think it's, when you're talking about Jalen Carter, I think it's not the off the field issues and not really on the field issues, but the leadership skills, the leadership mentality. Is it there? We can't forget, Jalen Carter spat on Dak Prescott the first game of the season. It was like he was in a bad mood that night before the game even started. We didn't even get to see a snap of Eagles defense, I don't think, if I'm not mistaken. I think Ben Van Sumeren went down, and then right after that, Jalen Carter spat on Dak Prescott. And if that wasn't a message to what the Birds season was going to be like for the rest of the year, I don't know what was. But that's what topped off the season. We seen Jalen Carter before the Eagles were even able to run a play on defense spit on Dak Prescott. And although we hate the Cowboys, we know those are reasons the front office will hesitate to pay you. Now, will he get paid? Of course. I think Jalen Carter is in one of those years to where he's probably going to come in with a chip on his shoulder, and he's probably looking at how bro, you know what I do. There is no reason why I didn't get an extension. And we, in the beginning of the offseason, was like, okay, when are they going to extend Jalen Carter? It didn't happen, so it's cool. He still is going to get paid $27 million, not bad. But like I say, I know he's coming into the season with a chip on his shoulder, and we should just hope that we get, a motivated Jalen Carter. I know he will be. Now, like I said, with Nolan Smith, I think he will probably have to perform at a more rapid rate than Jalen Carter. Why? Because the future isn't looking too bright in Philadelphia for Nolan Smith. Now, that's not to say he's not going to do good. I'm speaking on his future in Philadelphia. Will he be in Philadelphia in the future? I just don't think so. So I think he's probably going to be trying out for other teams this year. He's going to be balling out for other teams this year. And, sort of like what Milton Williams was like for the Birds. We wish we could pay you. Had a great season. Needed you to ball out this year. Probably, if he balls out, a top-notch Nolan Smith means that the Birds are going to be going places, because he holds the franchise record in sacks. So I think that means a lot when it comes to Nolan Smith. But like I said, if Nolan Smith is balling out, then that probably means he's going to get getting paid elsewhere. Sort of like Nakobe Dean. The Birds just didn't have it to pay him, and, we didn't want to watch him leave, but we had to watch him go. So, Nolan Smith, like I said, will be definitely playing for a contract either with us in the future. I don't know how he has planned for the future, or either with another team. Who knows? But I know Jalen Carter for sure will get his bag if he just puts his head down, grind it out, work. And we've been seeing some of the videos he's been putting out, training. He looks great. Everything looks like it's intact when it comes to the shoulder injury. So I think Jalen Carter's preparing himself to have a big year this season. And, that's something that we need to definitely keep an eye on, which we already will, because Jalen Carter is the best player on this Eagles defense by far. So let's just eliminate the attitude issues, the boneheaded decisions. And you can't really do anything about the injuries. Let's just hope that he can limit that also. And I think we're looking at a Jalen Carter who's extended in 2026. Oh. Hey, bro. Hey. Oh, this guy. Hold on. I gotta talk to the chat. So just give him a minute. We're gonna let him just sit down and let it marinate, because I told you, I told everyone, Hurts isn't the issue in Philadelphia. He hasn't been. I think when you really put it on a list of things, what has been the issue? Like let's make a list of all of the things that's been the issue of part of when it comes to this Eagles offense. Regarding the Eagles offense, what is the issue? Right now, last year, we can talk about it. It was the offensive line. It was the play calling, Kevin Petullo, Nick Sirianni. It was game day decisions. Like, it was everything. Like, I don't know what got into the coaching staff last year. The head coach was incompetent, to say the least. And we all this offseason seen it with our own eyes. And what did the media decide to do? Blame Jalen Hurts. But a guy who walked out this offseason because he knew how incompetent the play calling was and how incompetent the head coach was. The bum Nick Sirianni, who I like to call, he knew about it all. He knew that the fans wasn't tripping. He knew that, the play calling was horrible. And he was getting overstepped by the head coach and the offensive coordinator, who were both incompetent. One can't call plays, don't know how to sequence plays, and the other can't step in to help the other call plays or sequence plays. So it was, like I keep saying, what A.J. Brown said, a shit show. And I have to agree with him when it comes to that, because the play calling, the game day decisions, some of the decisions, everything, the schemes, the route running, the routes, period, they were all horrible. The incompetency of the play calling and of the coaching staff showed itself on game day, Sunday after Sunday, Wednesday, Thursday, Monday, whatever. It showed itself. And everyone knew. The fans knew. Everyone knew. Now, like I said, Jeff Stoutland called it out. And I'm not going to keep repeating it. Let's hear what Jeff Stoutland had to say.
What happened last year, just in general? Like, what was the reason for the struggles in your mind? I don't know. What went wrong last season with the Birds?
Well, I think anytime things don't go well, and I don't want to sound like I'm on like in an interview but yeah, it's the truth. It's execution, and it's calling the right play at the right time and not running bad plays into bad defenses. Yeah. I mean, it ain't that hard. Yeah. I'm not going to sit here and make up all these. That's pretty much it.
Now, like I said before, no quarterback in the NFL can succeed with an incompetent offensive coordinator. I don't care who you are. And most of all, no quarterback. I don't care who you go and grab. You can go grab anyone, Zach Wilson. You go grab Jimmy Garoppolo. None of them wants a reduced playbook. Even the backups want to run a playbook filled with, intricate plays and designs and concepts and schemes. They love that. No quarterback ever has said, please, make it a little more dense for me. Make it a little bit smaller for me. Let's shorten the playbook. What? So when I seen that Jalen doesn't want to run all of these intricate plays, Jalen doesn't want to run the ball, Jalen doesn't want to throw the ball through the middle of the field, I knew from the beginning it was balderdash. Please give us something significant to run with, because that in itself was horrible. And to know that people in NovaCare, or the Jefferson now, are talking bad about our quarterback behind his back. No one wants to come out and just say what it is, except for Jeff Stoutland. Everyone is an anonymous source. Everyone is, has something to say about Jalen. The guy can go win. The guy can go do everything that the league says is hard to do, and he still gets crapped on by his own media, by the fans, and the national media. Like, everyone. That is why I say no Jalen Hurts. slander will be tolerated here. No. No Jalen Hurts slander will be tolerated here because I understand what a capable, great quarterback looks like. And as I've always said, every quarterback from the greatest to the shittiest have their shortcomings. Jalen has some. But we can't sit and dwell on those when the guy has taken us to the promised land. I won't be out on Jalen. Let me just say this, because a lot of people want him to, be replaced by some rookie off the draft. I see WIP say this all the time, just nonsense. I will never be out on Jalen until I see 2 to maybe 3 years of Carson Wentz-like play. Because how long did we give Carson Wentz before we said, I'm out on this guy? No, we gave Carson Wentz so much time. It's this reason. It's because of this. Carson Wentz stinks, and he stunk back then. He's been stinking it up since his injury. Jalen Hurts walked in the building seeing the lack of leadership that there was from Carson Wentz, and I think that has been the reason why he takes the approach that he takes, on top of just wanting to be a freaking winner. And if that just isn't enough for you at the quarterback position, if your quarterback wants to get the yards and he wants to have the stats and he wants to get the MVPs and none of it sums up to winning, you can keep that quarterback, because a guy like Jalen Hurts tells us every season, the stats matter less. The accomplishments matter less when you're losing. When you're winning, everything is sunny in Philadelphia. Now, we never had an opportunity to talk about some of the Eagles' notable UDFAs that they brought in, and I'm here to tell you now, some of these guys are really interesting and intriguing. A lot of undersized guys. I think Howie has a thing for those smaller guys at those positions that requires like, a bigger guy. But he loves to see guys rise above and like those overachievers. That's what Howie loves. He loves those stories. Now, I think he's probably found a couple of gems in UDFA. And we're going to look at them all right here, go through all of it right here. Let's just check them out. Now, I got a lot of these notable UDFAs. I had to go and find these guys from phillyspecial.com, and they really went through a lot of these guys. So shout out to Philly Special and Anthony DeBona, one of the Eagles insiders who really, really does his homework on a lot of these guys. And we're going to start it off with Maximus Pulley from Woodford College. He has the ability to line up both deep and in the slot. Now, Pulley also had an impressive pro day that started with the 38.5 vertical jump. I am very impressed with Pulley. He's a safety, which is why I added him to these notable UDFAs, something that the Birds are really going to be looking at, and I think that you should keep an eye on in training camp. And then we come in with another IPP player, just like the massive O.R. Bernard that the Birds have signed and who's also gaining a lot of popularity amongst Birds fans. Now, this is Josh Wuru. Josh Wuru turned heads with a pro day. His performance that included a 41.5 vertical. He jumped and he ran a 4.4 at the 40-yard dash. Now, he had a 11.2 broad jump, and just like Anthony DeBona said on phillyspecial.com, it's clear that the Eagles are betting on the upside and raw potential of Josh Wuru. Now, similar to U.R. Bernard, he's a dog from Kenya, I think. If I'm not mistaken, I don't want to get that wrong. If I'm wrong, please let me know in the comments, but I think he's from Kenya, like one of those other guys from the IPP program who I think the Birds are going to develop into a great player, similar to Jordan Mailata. I don't have to go too much into this one because he won't be able to, do anything notable for the Birds until the next, 2 years, maybe. Mailata played in his third, so we're going to see about this one. I'm very excited, though, about Josh Wuru. Then we come in with another safety, Tucker Large from Washington State University. Now, Tucker Large, who unlike his name is ironically a smaller safety. He's weighing in at just 5'10", 181 pounds. That's not nothing that I don't think the Birds strength and conditioning staff can't work with. So let's not really, get too much into the weight, which, like I just said, how he gets these guys who are undersized at these certain positions that probably requires guys who need to be just a little bit bigger, but they perform and they overachieve. And I think that is what Howie was really looking for when it came to some of these UDFAs. Now, Large is definitely a smaller safety. He transferred to Washington State and had a ton of snaps in different positions in Washington. He's good in the box, deep in the slot, and he's versatile. So let's root for Large because he is a safety that I think could be added to the 53-man roster if he just puts his head down, like I say for all of these guys, and just performs. He's versatile. He has a lot of great abilities. And if the Birds can get him just, I don't know, add like 7 more pounds on that, whatever, 7 to 10 more pounds, I think this guy can be amazing. And then we go to Kapina Gushikin, another safety from Ole Miss. Now, Gushikin comes out like Large, a bit undersized. At 6 feet, 180 pounds, Gushikin is another versatile threat like Large, except Gushikin started at least 28 games and he produced a solid 88 tackles with 3 interceptions through 2 seasons at Washington State, earning Gushikin an all-league honors in JUCO. I've been hearing so much about this guy, Gushikin. Like, every fan page, every Eagles show, every whatever, I see Gushikin's name getting mentioned. Now, I looked at his tape. He's solid. He's decent. I like him. But, he's getting a lot of popularity in Philly. And when guys get a lot of popularity, that means a lot of eyes are going to be on you in OTAs and in training camp, even rookie minicamp. So let's hope that this guy is one of the guys that can really rise in that safety room and, make the field one day. Gushikin has a lot of hype around his name, and I think that's, could either play out well for him in Philadelphia, or it could really, really hurt him in the future. But I am optimistic about him. Of course, you guys know how I am. Gushikin is really a solid player who I think you guys should also go and check out. Now, and most certainly not least, my guy, Deontay Lawson from Alabama. He was a 2-time team captain at Alabama in his last season. He's coming in at 6'2", 226. Average size for your linebackers. He finished his Alabama career with 283 tackles, ranking 10th in school history, and he led the team in tackles during the 2025 season. He's one of the better UDFAs, and he's bound to actually make the 53-man roster. Now, I know I said a lot about a lot of the other guys, but Deontay Lawson is legit. If you just go watch his film and just go watch his last 2 seasons at Alabama, he really balled out. 283 tackles, bro. And he was a starter, 2-time team captain, so we don't have to worry about the nonsense. And let's really pay attention to the guys that Howie is bringing in. These captains, these guys who were in college, transferring positions, transferring schools in their positions to be better, to help their coaching staff, to help their teams. The attitude for this year's Birds is totally different. I think A.J. Brown really sparked something in the staff, in the locker room in itself, period, just around Philadelphia. We're going to make sure guys moving forward aren't just worried about their stats, aren't just worried about themselves, aren't just worried about, just the selfish mentality has to go. And I think AJ really sparked something at the NovaCare, Jefferson, whatever you want to call it, facility. And I think all of the guys that the Birds are bringing in, just think about it. Eli Stowers at Texas, Texas A&M, I'm sorry. He changed positions to help the team win, and he followed his coaching staff and his quarterback, Diego Pavia, from Texas A&M to Vanderbilt. If that doesn't, from New Mexico State, from Vanderbilt. Or is it Texas? I don't know which one. But he really showed a lot of character in college. And for him to follow his coaches, I know he followed them to Vanderbilt because that's where we drafted him from. For him to follow his coaches and his quarterback, you could tell this guy really was committed to the team and the foundation, right? To what helped him become a better player. That coach, whatever coach name that is over there, and Diego Pavia really helped him become a better player. He even lost in QB competition to Diego Pavia. So for him to lose, keep a good spirit and say, well, if I can help the team win at quarterback, let me go help the team win at another position. Let me see if I can help the team win in another position. And he helped the team win at another position. And then you get a guy like this right here, Deontay Lawson, 2-time team captain from Alabama. Howie did not just go get this guy for no reason. He was mocked to be a 6th round draft pick. Now, we know linebackers, the value of a linebacker, it varies, right? Like if you're coming out like Sonny Styles, you're going to be great. David Bailey, great. But, some of the other linebackers and those values for those teams isn't going to always be there. So he was mocked to be a 6th round guy. He ended up being a UDFA. I watched him a lot in college. I watched his film. Deontay Lawson is a guy, not just a guy, not a jag, but a guy. He's going to be really good if he can get a spot on this 53-man roster. I know the linebacker room is getting a little, we got Jahai Campbell, Zach Bond, and then you're bringing in Jeremiah Trotter. We know he's going to have a better year. You bring in a guy like Deontay Lawson, man, I think you're going to solidify the linebacker room, and that's going to help the defense because there's holes on the defense, and just to solidify one spot will help Howie keep his eyes on another, not having to think about all these other things. Linebacker spot is safe, good to go. Safety spot is good to go. Defensive line is good to go. My secondary, my first, second, and third line of defense are good to go, and we'll be good. But I'm getting ahead of myself with Deontay Lawson. Like I said, he's a guy that could really make this 53-man roster if he just do what he did at Alabama. And those are our notable UDFAs. I think these guys have a bright, bright future, like I always say in Philly. Now, Eagles rookie mini camp is this weekend, and I am super excited, over the moon about Michael Morris, a project that the Birds are bringing in. We have to see what he can do. Let's get him through development. Let's get him out there. Let's go. Rookie minicamp is on the way this weekend. Not just Michael Morris. We have Markel Bell. We have Kai Lemon, of course. Eli Stowers. We have guys like Colton Payton. We are set to go for rookie minicamp. And you guys should be just as excited as I am because, man, to see these guys in Eagles green, to see these guys in midnight green, to see these guys at the Jefferson, now that it's called the Jefferson, man, I missed the Nova. But now that they're at the Jefferson and we're going to see these guys in Eagle Green, you guys should be just as excited as me because it's the beginning of the journey for a lot of these great players. And we're going to be able to see, we're going to be able to hear at least what these guys are doing, how they're looking. We're not going to get the, no one's taking anybody's spot and rookie minicamp, but it's just going to be good to be able to see these guys in Eagles green flying around, getting through some of those drills and actually running some routes. So, let me know how you feel about all of the draft picks and some of those notable UDFAs that I just talked to you guys about. How do you feel about them? Are you excited? Are you not? How can you not be? But I won't tell you guys how to feel. I'm excited. I'm over the moon about these picks, and Howie is cooking like always. Let's back off Howie a little bit and let him cook, right? Safety position, it could be solidified, or we might go with the guys that we already have in the building. I'm hearing some Justin Reed rumors from the Jets. I'm hearing some other rumors like, Grant Delpit from the Browns. Who knows? Howie is always looking, and we think that he's going to go Justin Reed's way. We think he's going to go Grant Delpit's way. He might be looking at someone else that we haven't even thought about, talked about, or even could conjure up. That's Howie, right? So you guys know how it is. Like, comment, share, subscribe. That's the routine over here. You guys know it already. Be blessed. And, man, relax. Let Howie cook. Go Birds.
Are you gonna be